Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe one of the federal government's most important functions is to support those who have sacrificed so much in the defense of our nation. Whenever our government fails to meet this responsibility, swift action must be taken. We have heard far too many distressing stories in recent years about the Department of Veterans Affairs failing to provide our veterans the care they deserve. My amendment seeks to address one of these problems by adding the text of H.R. 3216, the Veterans Emergency Treatment Act, to this bill. This language is supported by the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the American Legion, and the Disabled American Veterans. In short, my amendment would ensure that every enrolled veteran who arrives at an emergency department of a VA medical facility and indicates an emergency condition exists is assessed and treated in an effort to prevent further injury or death. This is accomplished by applying the statutory requirements of the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, or EMTALA, to emergency care furnished by the VA to enrolled veterans. Mr. Speaker, my attention was drawn to this issue by one of my own constituents. In February of 2015, a 64-year-old Army veteran arrived at the Seattle VA emergency room in severe pain with a broken foot that had swollen to the size of a football. No longer able to walk, he requested emergency room staff assist him in traveling the 10 feet from his car to the ER entrance. Hospital personnel promptly hung up on him after instructing him he would need to call 911 to assist him at his own expense. He was eventually helped into the emergency room by a Seattle fire captain as well as 3 firefighters. Another notable incident occurred in New Mexico in 2014 when a veteran collapsed in the cafeteria of a VA facility and ultimately died when the VA refused to transport him 500 yards across the campus to the emergency room. EMTALA is a federal statute that supersedes state and local laws and grants every individual a federal right to emergency care. It was enacted by Congress in 1986 and is designed to prevent hospitals from transferring or dumping uninsured or Medicaid patients to hospitals. EMTALA requires a hospital to conduct a medical examination to determine if an emergency medical condition exists. If one does, then the hospital must either stabilize the patient or effectuate a proper transfer at the patient's request. Currently, the VA hospitals are considered to be non-participating hospitals and are therefore not obligated to fulfill the requirements instituted by EMTALA. This amendment will revise current law to remove the non-participating designation and require them to fulfill requirements of EMTALA just as every other hospital does. Mr. Speaker, it is actually the Veteran Health Administration's stated policy that all transfers in and out of VA facilities of patients in the emergency department or urgent care units are accomplished in a manner that ensures maximum patient safety and is in compliance with the transfer provisions of EMTALA and its implementing regulations. However, unfortunately, this policy is not always followed, and occasionally locally designed transfer policies undermine efforts to provide emergency care to veterans. Additionally, in some of these instances, there was clear confusion on the part of the VA facilities about their own transfer policies. This is why we must act now. Mr. Speaker, I urge the House to support and pass my amendment to H.R. 5620. It's time we ensure our veterans receive proper medical care during emergency medical situations, all without requiring additional spending. Thank you, and I reserve the balance of my time.